All right, so with all the articles that you've come out with, the podcast that you're about to start, and all the videos that what makes you unique? What's different about,
Why a new pro-life apologetics organization?
Yeah, if we have IJFA, we have other things.
Yeah,
all these resources.
We're standing on the shoulders of giants. Like, I don't see us as competing with other pro-life groups. We do have some different things to say. There's some overlap, and then there's some things that basically, Tim and I went through the fire of about 3,000 conversations with pro-choice people. And we get really kind of nerdy about that. Like, we spend a lot of time after the conversations thinking together about, like, what happened? Why did that conversation go well? What could have made the conversation go better? And by always kind of staying on campuses, doing that campus outreach work that we've always done, we've learned a lot of things. College students interact with information differently than they used to. And that really matters if we're going to try to remain effective. Like, we're going to need to sometimes adjust the way that we make arguments, or maybe just the ways that we dialogue. Like, we talk about practical dialogue tips. Like, I like the nitty-gritty stuff. And you kind of always saw that reflected on Life Report. I was always kind of asking, how is this going to help the listener kind of thing? Not just like, what is your philosophical view? Like, I want this to be helpful. So I'm still that guy. So we like talking about, like, body language. What are the kinds of things you can do with your body language that can make conversations go better or worse? Or using, like, little filler sentences that help just make the conversation go better. Like, we like to say things like, let me describe what's going on biographically for me right now. I love that sentence, because now we're going to have a meta conversation. We're going to talk about what's going on, and we can help direct them really well. So just find those little nitty-gritty things. We talk about relational apologetics. We talked about this a little bit towards the end of Life Report, I think, but not too much, about just like, how do you form friendships with pro-choice people? Because I've done this multiple times and seen pro-choice people that I never would have thought become pro-life. But what those people needed was not one conversation at Fresno State University. They needed like a year or maybe 5 years of conversations with just a nice, smart pro-life person. Because it's so complicated. They've got all these things going on in their mind, all of these objections. We're going to have to talk about back alley abortions. We're going to have to talk about all these different things, the bodily rights arguments, probably utilitarianism, because I think there's more utilitarians now than there used to be. So we've got to be able to help unwrap that for them and show them why that view is not the best way to figure out morality.
There's so many issues. There's so many topics that need to be clarified.
So it's going to be like long, so like not as much like Facebook debate, like with a whole bunch of people just like, it's not as much that. It's like the one-on-one, like emails or private messages, or hopefully, could you go to Starbucks every week, or some coffee place if you don't like Starbucks, like some coffee place, like once a week, once every other week with a pro-choice friend, and just kind of have it set up as like, you know what? Based on what I see going on in politics this year, it seems like pro-life and pro-choice people don't know how to talk to each other well, or really anyone on different sides of an issue don't know how to talk to each other well. Like
social media has made us far less social than we were.
And the people that are on social media, that like all the stories are written about. I'm trying not to say the guy's name, but like this is not a great state for like the public discourse, like the level of public discourse. It's just saying, could we be different? I know you're pro-choice and I'm pro-life right now, but I'm an open-minded person. I really want to hear what your arguments are. I think you're a thoughtful person. Could we sit down and talk about this issue in a way that nobody does anymore? And then do that every couple of weeks. Buy them coffee and just talk about it. Like that kind of thing. So we talk about that a lot, for example.
Like you said, building relationships instead of just attacking one another. Or you tell me what you think, I'll tell you, and then we'll just walk away and we'll still agree to disagree.
We shouldn't be thinking of this as a debate. Like you should not be doing the things that like Trump and Clinton are going to do before their debates. Like I think of this very, very different. This is a dialogue, and so I'm going to do things that you wouldn't do in a debate. But like the dialogue is different. We're seeking truth together. We're on a journey together. We're partners in this, trying to figure out who has the best views, so that we can all have the more true views.
Instead of who has the bigger machine gun or whatever.
What would it look like if the pro-life movement, if the entire pro-life movement? See, this is what we're like, what my heart is in this. What if the entire pro-life movement got trained to treat pro-choice people the way Jesus would if he came back and talked to a pro-choice person? Like, what would Jesus' body language be like? What kinds of questions would he ask? What kinds of questions would he not ask? And what would it sound like when he made arguments that are totally grounded in truth? Like, I'm not saying like wimp out on the truth. Grounded in truth, but spoken with gentleness and grace. Like, what would that be like? I want to train all the pro-life college students to be more like that. Why? Because in 20 years, they're going to take over the pro-life movement. Yeah. This is a long game for me. I want to train the entire future pro-life leaders and all the college students now, and until then, to be a lot more effective when they talk to pro-choice people.
Yeah, it seems a lot more practical and a lot more doable than to just, these are the lines you use, and that should convince them. And if they're not convinced, then they're never going to be convinced.
In some ways, it's even harder. I think that it would be simple if all you had to do is memorize some talking points.
Yeah.
Here's your 5 arguments, and you just need to know these 5 syllogisms or whatever, and then you're good. And I actually think it's a lot more complicated. We don't have a flowchart mentality to dialogue. Some people they'll
do
even
this,
be like,
then next, then this.
She said this. What should I have said? I don't know. What was going on for her? Tell me about her.
It depends
on
the
what's
person.
going on.
Yeah, where they're coming from.
20 minutes of questions before, to get to know this person before I know, okay, what is driving her view?
Yeah. Because then you're just assuming what she's thinking, and then you're answering, you're responding, and she's like, that's not what I was thinking. This person is not paying attention to me, and now I'm gone.
Strawman people all the time. And to be fair, this is the part that I think is more to blame on pro-choice people, is their rhetoric can be really vague. They can say things that can mean multiple things, like my body, my choice. You hear that all the time. Well, that can mean at least 4 really, really different arguments. So that's why we have to ask so many questions. We've got to kind of do some extra work to make sure that we're clearly understanding where they're coming from, and so that we actually care about their view and understanding their view before we go to refute it. I'm not saying don't refute it. Still refute it, but understand them better first and treat them as if we think of pro-choice people not as the enemy, but as image bearers, like the unborn are.
Yeah.
What would it look like if we did that? I think we'd have radically different conversations.
Yeah. So you're still doing the speaking engagements nationally now, and a little bit internationally, Canada.
Canada counts as international, right?
It does. It's not the U.S., so it's out of country.
It's like half international.
Yeah, there you go. What if people want to get a hold of you to do speaking engagements or anything like that, how do they do that? And how many are you still doing? How often are you out?
In the last couple of years, I've forgotten the count. I've got the count somewhere else. It's dozens, absolutely dozens. Somewhere between 30 and 50. I know we've spoken to about 11,000 people in live engagements.
In the last 2.5 years since you've
and so, I love speaking. Speaking is certainly a part of the way that we try to get the word out, because you can get the word out to a whole lot of people in one go. I love to speak. There's that, you remember that line in Chariots of Fire where the runner, he says, when I run, I feel God's pleasure, or something like that.
Yeah.
It's that's how I feel when I speak. I love to speak. Yeah. So certainly we do that. And if people were interested in seeing if I was available for something, they can go to our website, they can go to our blog. In either case, there's kind of a speaking page where they can basically request to find out if I would be available for
what is the
something.
website, by the way? I don't think
Oh yeah, we had never talked about that.
I don't think we mentioned it.
equalrightsinstitute.com.
Okay, and I'll put that
up.
up.
So if you go to equalrightsinstitute.com, there's a speaking page, and it'll kind of say, hey, if you want to book Josh, do this and this and this. And then basically, certainly we don't say yes to every event. It's not possible. We're getting too many kind of requests, but we do love to do that, and we're doing a lot of them.
And you can reserve a year in advance? Is that
I'm already booking stuff for next fall.
Okay.
We've got 18 talks already booked between now and April.
Cool.
So yeah.
You guys are busy.
It'll be a little bit hard to get. You might get on our calendar for next spring, maybe if you reach out really quickly, but more likely next fall. People would have a chance to do something. But yeah, we just speak to students. I love speaking at universities. It's one of my favorite places. We want to be speaking to the people who are kind of doing high level thinking. So the pro-life movement has really smart things to say. Mm-hmm. We've got some good philosophical arguments to make, and we want to show you that. But also pregnancy care center banquets and things like that. We speak to all kinds of situations.
Well, that's awesome. For those people that are interested in subscribing to the course, how do they know when that comes out? Because I know you don't have a set date quite yet.
Yeah, we're kind of hopefully in the next month we'll have this thing done or so.
Okay.
or whenever this comes out. I
Probably
don't know.
by the time this comes out, yeah.
Maybe. I would say the easiest thing would be to jump on our email list. I mean, if you go to equalrightsinstitute.com, you'll see a big picture of my brother having a friendly conversation with a pro-choice person. And right there is a button that says Learn More or something like that. But that button, if you click on that, that's how you get on our email list. Cool. Of course, we'll be doing a big email blast when the course comes out. And certainly when the course comes out, there'll be something about it on the front page. So if you want to know if it's out or not, you can just go to equalrightsinstitute.com. But if you want, like the email thing is nice. We don't send a lot of fundraising emails. We're not obnoxious with emails. We send mainly when we write a new article. Say, hey, this might be interesting to you. Here it is, like right in your inbox. If you want to read it, if you don't want to read it, fine.
Yeah.
And every once in a while, like if we're speaking, we might say, hey, here's where we're going to do an event. I've had like too many cases where people have driven from like other states away to come and hear us speak. And so now I just tell the whole email list, like, here's our schedule kind of a thing.
Yeah,
Do with it what you will.
If you're in the area.
Yeah. And every once in a while, like if there's a special project or something that people could support, then we'll say that. But it's not very often that we send this.
Yeah, and your Facebook page is pretty active, right, as well?
It's not as active as I would like it to be, because it's really hard with Facebook, because we have an Equal Rights Institute Facebook page, and then there's still a Josh Brahm Pro-Life Advocate page. Because I don't really friend anyone that I know anymore. That was a disaster. I had like 2,500 Facebook friends, and I don't want that many Facebook friends. So I've got a page where I do my stuff, and so people can like both those pages. We could be doing a lot more stuff with it. Right now, it's just been all hands on deck. Let's get this course done. And so it's pretty much when we put articles out, and when we see really cool things that we want other people to see, we'll put those out.
Well, great. I'm glad you came onto the show.
I am too. It's nice to come on. It's nice to officially now have done 200, because 199 was my last episode, and it's just been that thorn in my side ever since. So now I can officially say I did 200 episodes of Life Report.
There you go.
It's just the last time I was a guest.
Hey, that's nice and sweet, I think. And I'm glad to be part of your 200. So
I'm really happy that you're here, and it looks like you're doing great work. So
thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you, Josh.
The torch is passed, Raphael.
Yes, and I shall carry it as long as I can. So thank you, Josh, for coming on, and well, I hope you keep watching. I hope you tune in for some. Yeah.
Oh, I will.
Yeah, and please let me know what you think. And I'm excited to see the videos that you've created.
Thanks.
I'm excited to see that.
I am too.
4K video.
Oh,
that's
so
gonna be
good.
awesome. Cool. Well, that's all for Life Report, and we'll see you next time.